Hello, I am Dr. Mandaj Flaro, and on today's episode of the SuperLead podcast, we are joined by pioneering force in South Africa's franchising landscape, Richard Mukheibir, the co-founder and CEO of Cash Converters, Southern Africa. Richard has been at the forefront of international franchising in South Africa since the early 1990s. Introducing brands such as Cash Converters, PostNet to the local market. Under his leadership, Cash Converters has grown from a single pilot store in Parow to a thriving network of nearly 100 stores, employing over 1,800 people across the region. And in this episode, we unpack lessons from 30 years of leading Cash Converters, including how the business has evolved, why franchising can be a strong first step when starting a business, and the importance of being hands-on and key leadership insights gained along the way. And in this episode, we unpack lessons from 30 years of leading Cash Converters, including how the business has evolved over the years and why franchising can be a really, really good first step when one is thinking about starting their own business. Now, Richard, welcome to SuperLead Podcast.
Thank you very much, Prof. It's great to be here.
You know, to be called Prof, you have to do a ton of work. So I'm not allowed to call myself Prof yet. So
Okay.
just a doctor,
Doc.
a young doctor. And then maybe in years to come, with all the publishing and everything else that comes with academic life, just for you, I might be called Prof.
I'm sure it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, let's hope so. But today it's about you. And first of all, thank you for agreeing to do the podcast. We have had a number of engagements and really, really love your passion for franchising, for job creation, and just the innovation in the space that you're in. But before we get to all of that, we want to learn about you. And on this podcast, we prefer kind of hearing your story from as early as possible. So if you can sort of check us as early as possible and kind of tell us a bit about who Richard is.
Okie dokie, sure. Perhaps let me start in Cape Town. I'm born and bred Cape Townian.
Yeah.
Went to school there. Went to university in Cape Town.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough after school, in fact, to be an exchange student in America in the early 80s, which was a hell of an experience in the context that I left Cape Town on the 13th of January 1980.
Yeah.
And I ended up in a little town called Alpena, which is 200 miles north of Detroit, right on Lake Huron. So we left Cape Town at 22 degrees Celsius and arrived there at minus 22 degrees Celsius. A hell of an adjustment that was needed, but a very exciting year because travel broadens one's perspective of life. Yeah. So that was great. I joke that I'm probably UCT's worst student. It took me a long while. I took the scenic route to get my bachelor's degree in commerce.
Also, how many? What happened? Which year?
Well, I spent most of my time playing bridge, golf, and spending it in a pub called the Pig and Whistle, which unfortunately is no longer there. It used to be an institution in the 80s and 90s in Rondebosch.
Sure.
Anyway, I managed to get a bachelor's degree in commerce. I majored in IT and accounting, and my family background is small business. On my father's side, originally came to South Africa in 1897 from Lebanon. Created a small trading store in a little town in the Eastern Cape called Berkeley East. And my grandfather brought his two brothers out, a traditional sort of European immigration into South Africa story, created the business, and in fact, Mukheibir Brothers is still trading today.
Sure.
Over 120 years later. With my cousins. I think it's right about the fifth generation. So that's kind of how it started.
Lovely.
My father was the first person in our family to get a tertiary education.
Sure.
He became a CA, actually. And probably that was part of what caused me to get into business myself.
Okay.
So that's where the entrepreneurial stuff came from. He had a small practice in Cape Town with a partner of his that was at university with him as well. And Saturdays I used to go to one client who made beach buggies, and the next Saturday we were making swimming pools, and the next one we were selling handles and doorknobs and things like that.
Sure.
And so that always interested me. Business always interested me.
Yeah.
And when I finished university, I came up to Johannesburg and worked for Gencor in those days in the computer division.
Okay.
Impala Platinum was part of that.
Right.
And my now partner, Peter Forshaw, he's the smart one in the partnership. He became a CA. He started his own practice here in Midrand, and every couple of months he would call me up and say, "Don't you want to get involved in a jacket making factory? It's just come across my desk. It's for sale."
Okay.
And the next month it was a transport company.
Sure.
And one day he phoned up and said, "Don't you want to become a pawnbroker?" I said to Peter, "Of course, everybody aspires to be a pawnbroker." Not. Anyway, that's how the journey started.
Sure.
So we'd received a VHS video from Cash Converters in
VHS.
Perth. VHS. Remember that? You might not even remember that.
No, I think Shami wouldn't remember what
that is.
Not even remember. She wouldn't even know what VHS is. But
10-minute promo video on Cash Converters, the concept of Cash Converters.
Okay.
It was at that stage of the game 10 years old in Australia. Brian Cummings, the founder of Cash Converters, was starting to expand worldwide. They'd opened in New Zealand and they'd opened in the UK, and an ex-partner of ours came across it when he was gone back in the UK visiting his family, and looked at this thing. This was now late 92.
Yeah.
And I said to Pete, this superficially looks very interesting, but I need to go and have a look at it. So I got on the plane, flew down to Perth in Western Australia, well, a couple of months afterwards. He actually went to the UK to have a look at Cash Converters in the UK. I was in Perth, met Brian Cummings, met him on a Friday. We drove around Perth for 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, showed me they had about 100 stores in Oz at that stage.
Sure.
Showed me the business. I got on the plane on the Monday, back in Johannesburg on the Tuesday, got together with my partners, and I said, "I think this could work."
Oh, wow.
So contextualize, we were, Mandela had been released.
Yes.
We were becoming a democracy. Our view on the world was, there's a massive going to become a massive pent-up demand for consumerism.
Sure.
There are going to be people who are going to want TVs, hi-fis, jewelry, sporting goods, cameras, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And they may well not be able to afford what they're looking for new.
The new ones,
and then Cash Converters would fill that gap. That was the thinking process. So once we decided to go ahead with it, I phoned. I was living in Joburg, as I said. My folks are still back in Cape Town. I was in my early 30s.
Yeah.
In those days, there were no cell phones. You phoned home on a Sunday night because it was cheap rates. And I said to my mum, "I'm leaving the big corporate. I'm going to become a pawnbroker." And there was nothing on the other side of the line. And I was listening keenly. She burst into tears. I said, "What's the problem?" She says, "Oh, my God. 100 years later, and we've ended up in the same place your grandfather started."
Oh, no.
So she was terribly upset with us because I was, I had a decent job in a big company, and I was going to start something out which she didn't really visualize or couldn't really see.
Yeah.
Because in those days, second hand was perceived as dark and dingy and cluttered and dishonest and all those things that we've tried to change the perception completely.
Over the years,
Effectively, Brian Cummings' view on Cash Converters, or his vision, was to take it out of the steam-driven age and put it into the supersonic age.
Sure.
So the likes of ourselves, our partners, our family could feel comfortable to walk into a second-hand dealer, being a Cash Converter store, as comfortable as they would going to Checkers to buy milk and bread.
Lovely.
So that was kind of the concept.
Sure.
So once we'd made the big decision, we signed the agreement with Aussie on the 1st of April 1994.
Okay.
So 26 days before our democratic election.
Sure.
I then resigned from Impala. I flew down to Perth, spent 2-3 months training over there, and came back.
Sure.
Packed everything that I owned, which was a small little flat I had in Illovo here in Johannesburg, into my city Golf, and drove down to Cape Town. The reason for that was we were going to open the first store in Cape Town.
Okay.
The fundamental reason for that was twofold. The one partner that I had knew retail. He came from the franchising fast food industry. I knew nothing about retail, franchising, secondhand, or whatever. So I was perfectly well qualified for the job. And he was going to effectively guide me. And the second reason was we'd found a site in Parow in Cape Town.
Okay.
It was the highest concentration of secondhand dealers in Cape Town at the time.
Sure.
We figured if we could get in there with that type of competition and succeed, then we'd have some future.
So other normal people will want to go start somewhere else where there's no competition.
Yes. So I suppose one of the characteristics of my business career is that I've tended to swim uphill or upstream.
Yeah.
When people are running away, I'm kind of running towards. And so the vision really was to take the concept of cash converters and mainstream it.
Sure.
So we started the first business in Shoprite Park in Parow in 1994, in September and November of 1994. First customer was my mother. She sold us a steam iron. We started out with like 20,000 rands worth of stock, which most of it came from my flat in my city Golf, which I drove down.
No way.
I borrowed and begged from family and members, and Anyway, so first year we got the business going. I worked that for probably 2 years. Then we sold it on to a franchisee, and we started franchising. By the end of the 1990s, we had about a dozen stores in the Western Cape. All of my partners were Joburgers, and they were saying, "You've got to come to Joburg. This is the center of the commercial world in South Africa." I said, "I'm a Cape Townian. Nobody goes from Joburg from Cape Town to Joburg. They go the other way around." They said, "Just come for 5 years, man. Then you can go back." That was 1999, and I'm still in Johannesburg in 2025.
That's a very long 5 years.
It is a very long 5 years. Anyway, then we started building the business over here, and effectively we've headquartered out of Johannesburg. Our headquarters are in Midrand, and we started focusing on the Gauteng region, the Western Cape, and the metropole of Durban. And then the concept then, we started out from a cash converter point of view, effectively starting just buying and selling second-hand household goods. And over the now 31 years, we're in our 31st birthday here in South Africa, 45 years around the world, we've amended, adjusted, and adapted that business model over those years.
Good one.
So 2007, roughly, the National Credit Act came into being in South Africa, and that allowed us to bring secured money lending into the business model. So what we did then was we said, okay, the concept behind cash converters is to provide our customers with short-term access to cash. Up until then, they could basically just sell something to us and get the cash immediately. They could buy something like this iPad over here at roughly half the price of new. So conceptually, you get 100 rands worth of value for 50 rand. Now we had the ability that instead of selling this, they could use it as surety to borrow money. So that was now the third way to access cash.
Excellent.
And then a couple of years thereafter, we added the unsecured money lending aspect to it. So now there was 4 ways that you could access cash in a convenient way in our business. So that's kind of how we've morphed that. And in the last year or so, we've added additional variants to the access to cash model. Different flavors of ice cream, call it.
Excellent. And what is this about access to cash? What is sort of this driver for you, the purpose behind it? What does this mean for you?
The average man in the street, twofold, the average man in the street finds it extremely difficult to access credit. The context behind that is that the industry has been formalized so much, but many people are just don't understand the rules of the game. So trying to go and borrow money from a bank, you need balance sheets, you need income statements, you need registrations, you need this, that, and the next thing. And the time frame between the time you need the money and the time you can actually raise it is generally too long. So what access to cash, the concept behind that is fast, convenient, safe.
Excellent.
And we try to turn a transaction around anywhere between 5 and 10 minutes.
5 minutes.
These are small value transactions, so roughly 1,000 rand. So we're not talking hundreds of thousands of rand. Small and quick and convenient. A regular customer, you can do 5 or 10 minutes. A new customer, probably roughly around about 10 minutes, but we'll put you into cash.
Excellent.
So it's really about that. Think about a fast food or quick service restaurant drive-through. The concept of convenience and speed. Because we're all busy today, so you don't want to stand around for half an hour or an hour trying to raise 1,000 rand.
Yeah, but the difference between the 5 minutes and the probably 10 days, if not more, to access the same amount of cash, I think.
So really the nub of it is cash now. So if the consumer is looking for cash now, that Cash Converters is the place to come. That's the business concept. So then if you look at it, how we've built it is on the back of a franchising model. So franchising is all about a franchisor and a franchisee.
Let's just unpack that world fully.
Okay, so the franchisor is, let's call it the lead partner in this relationship. They're responsible for two things: one, creating a business model, and two, a brand.
Right.
So business model, think recipe to bake a cake. All the ingredients and the method and how to do it. Okay, that's the franchisor's responsibility, and the creation of a brand. So the idea then is that the franchisee comes and uses that recipe and uses the brand to distribute goods or services. So franchising is a business model that distributes goods or services.
Excellent.
And think fast food restaurants again. We've got many of them around the world, some of the biggest brands in the world. Most of them are franchised. Think fuel stations, also franchised. Think signage companies. In fact, lawyers are franchised these days as well.
Right.
So it's all about creating a business model and giving the franchisee the opportunity to use that brand so that when they open their store, it's not Manda's pawnbroker. It's Cash Converters,
and then there's a trust on the brand already.
Absolutely. And then the guys have got the recipe. They may come from a different industry, may know nothing about the particular business that they've bought. Cash Converters, PostNet, Multiserve, KFC, whatever it might be. It's the franchisor's responsibility to train them to operate that business, all the way from flipping the burger to reading the balance sheet.
So and then the franchisor makes a fee out of...
Correct. Generally speaking, the franchisor's income stream, or let's look at the franchisee first of all. Franchisee's income stream is whatever the business is that they make. So if it's a signage company, they manufacture signage and there's a markup on the signage and they sell the signage. If it's a burger business, they buy the burgers from the central kitchen for 10 Rand and sell them for 20.
From the franchisor.
Generally speaking, from the franchisor. So in that context, the franchisor generates an income out of something called a franchise fee. That's a one-off fee for the term of the franchise. Generally in South Africa, anywhere between 5 and 10 years. Then on the sale of the product or the service is generally a percentage of the turnover.
I see.
So 5%, 6%, 7%. And the percentage quantum is generally relative to the gross margin of whatever product they're selling. So the higher the gross margin, the higher the royalty percentage. The lower the gross margin, the lower the percentage. And then the third income stream to the franchisor is providing the product to the franchisee to on-sell to his consumers. So think fast food restaurant again, burgers, buns, spices, all that type of stuff. Central kitchen concept. So the franchisor is creating if we use retail again, points of presence in the country.
I see.
Managing this network, them utilizing their system, his brand, and the supply of the product. One other thing that goes on top of that in today's 21st century digital world is IT. So if I go back now to 1994 when Cash Converters started, I literally started with a blue Croxley book, triplicate invoice, the blue carbon paper and a big pen. That's how we did the first transaction to my mother then. Today we run on an extremely sophisticated central database IT system. We've got 2 million customers on that IT system, unique, identified across all of our stores, all of our products. Each product that we buy and sell has got a unique stock number to it, barcoded. We can track it from the time it's come into the business to the time it's gone out of the business.
Stunning.
Everything we've done to it. So that in fact forms the basis of the model, and our franchisees use that IT system, and you can then ensure that you've got control and you've got compliance against all the laws.
And who have built that? The team in
Good question. So we started out with a triplicate Croxley book.
Yeah.
We then went to something called DOS 3.1. I had a friend of mine from university built a very rudimentary system where we just tracked. Manda sold us the iPad for this price at this time, and it was like a little Excel spreadsheet or Lotus 123 in those days.
Of course.
We then went from there to, in fact, we got a system out of Australia that was very rudimentary. Also, I mean, in fact, it might have just been on the first version of Windows. It then became evident that we couldn't get the support that we needed in the time frame that we needed. So we went out to a software development house in Cape Town, and we bastardized their retail system.
Right.
And we used that for quite a long period of time until we started adding the unsecured and secured money lending to it. It became quite obvious that third parties couldn't supply us what we wanted in terms of our business model.
Sure.
So around about the early teens, 2012, 2013, we decided to in-house our IT.
Sure.
So of the 120 odd people we had at head office, 1/3 of them are IT.
No way.
And we've actually turned into a fintech. So we have a very sophisticated system of moving money between the franchisor, the franchisees, and our customers in real time through the banking system.
Sure.
And what that has done is allow us to bring new development and new products to the industry very, very quickly.
Sure.
So as an example, when COVID hit us, we at that stage of the game didn't have a web shop. We literally built a web shop in like about 7 weeks, launched it at that stage of the game, and today we're now doing in excess of 10% of our turnover digitally.
Sure.
So that has become a core pillar of our business, the IT side of things.
Sure. Now, and then the team from Australia, maybe New Zealand, they're all using different systems.
So yes, they are. And you might ask, why don't you just have one for all the 20 countries in the world?
Or they can just take yours and then just...
That's an opportunity as well. But what we've found is that each country in our industry have different compliance requirements. So the systems in Australia, in fact, are quite legacy systems.
Yeah.
So our design criteria when we started building our application was in fact for multi-country, multi-currency.
Sure.
So we've built that application for multi-currency country, and what we're doing is using it across Africa. So we currently operate in 3 countries, South Africa, Namibia. We opened in Nigeria in the end of 93.
Excellent.
We're just talking to Ghana and East African countries as well.
Stunning.
And so we've purposefully built that multi-country.
Yeah.
And so we hope to take advantage of that opportunity as
excellent. So I come across people all the time, and they'll say, hey, maybe they got a good bonus and they got access to some money and they want to get into franchising, and they'll ask me, hey, do I know anyone? So if someone wanted to kind of continue working as a CA somewhere in corporate, but they want to own a franchise, what happens? Where do they start?
Where do they start? Okay.
Can one actually just run a franchise as a side hustle?
So the answer is yes and no. Let me go to your first question. Where do you start?
Yeah.
So you're an employee, and perhaps just to contextualize this as well, why would you want to get into franchising? And my motivation or argument or justification for that is you probably want to improve the family balance sheet.
Sure.
And as an employee, generally that opportunity is quite limited.
Yeah.
So getting involved in your own business gives you that opportunity.
Yeah.
So your choice is, okay, I'm going to go and open my own business. Do I do it by myself, or do I do it with the support of somebody else? And this is where franchising provides you with that intellectual property, the business model, the brand, all of the support infrastructure, effectively lowers the risk of failure while increasing the risk of profitability.
Stunning.
So if I was counseling anybody that wants to get into business, I would suggest the first port of call is the franchising industry. Because you're going to learn a hell of a lot about business through people that know about it already.
And also given just the rate of failure of small businesses within its first couple of years.
5 years, 9 out of 10 small businesses fail in 5 years. They're not
Jeez.
In the 5 years of franchising, only 1 out of 10 fail.
No way.
Those
So
are the
essentially, we should all just...
We should all be getting into the franchise business.
Okay. And cash converters for that.
Well, specifically cash converters, yes. But in general, I would suggest first port of call is the Franchise Association of South Africa.
Okay.
It's a very vibrant franchise association. Give those guys a call. They're on the internet, fasa.co.za.
Yeah.
And there are plus minus 200 franchisors listed over there.
Stunning.
And you can get an opportunity, whatever you want to do, whether it's coffee or quick service restaurants or cash converters. And I'd much like everybody to buy a cash converters, but my counsel would be find the business model that suits your character.
Okay.
So
say more.
Okay. So if you're an extrovert, love people, wanting to solve problems, enjoy and are energized by dealing with people on a daily basis, then retail may well be for you.
Sure.
But if you're more of a background guy and more of a left-brained analytical type person, then that may not be for you.
Sure.
So that would be, you got to kind of fit your character hand in glove to the concept. And then the other counsel that I would suggest, and this comes from 30 years worth of experience in the franchising industry in general, because we brought PostNet into the country at the same time as cash converters.
Yeah.
We were involved and owned the multi-serve shoe cobbling business for a good decade or so. We started the first social franchise in the country, put kids in the township into sport.
Sure.
So we've had some experience in franchising in general over and above cash converters.
Lovely.
Is that the better outcome will be delivered by you being an owner-operator. So,
okay, English.
Okay, so work the business yourself.
Okay.
Don't go and take your money, invest it, and ask a manager to manage it for you.
Sure.
So that doesn't mean to say you have to work that business for all and ever.
Yeah.
But particularly when you start out, my suggestion 2 to 5 years is that you're the first guy there in the morning at 8 o'clock opening the door, and you're the last person in the evening leaving. And you need to spend the first 2 years getting to understand how this business model works intimately.
Sure.
It's really time in the saddle.
Sure.
You would be familiar with the 10,000 hour
Yes,
concept.
yes.
You need to understand whatever franchise, that operational ability to go from concept to profit and balance sheet equity build intimately, each and every step in the process.
Sure.
And then, if you want, you can sort of start stepping away from the day-to-day
And then appoint
operation.
general managers.
Yes. And maybe an example of this would be, I've got 100-odd franchisees out there, and this is the mantra that I communicate to them. The older franchisees in the group, we've been around for 30-odd years. I've got guys that have been in our business for in excess of 20 years.
Gee.
I've got a franchisee who owns 4 stores. He lives on a golf course in the Western Cape, and his stores are here in Gauteng.
Okay.
He's on our IT system every morning with a cup of coffee and a cigarette next to the golf course, and he looks at all of those numbers. And he can smell within 15 seconds if there's a problem in his store.
Wow.
But he can only do that because he spent 10 years
time there.
absolutely in
Right.
the business beforehand.
So this is not a side hustle.
So particularly the cash converters business is not a side hustle.
Yeah.
There may be smaller businesses that are less complex that you could put under management to start with, but if I was investing my money, I wouldn't do it.
Sure.
I would jump in boots and all, and with my drive, determination, and passion, I'd make it work.
Yeah.
And then when I understand the
Then you
recipe,
can slowly
I
step
know
back.
how to bake that cake.
Yeah.
I can step away from it.
And so if someone was going to leave full employment, how long will it take?
to be able to get back to the level of their lifestyle.
Yes.
So 2 things about that. It's almost like a hockey stick. If you imagine a graph over here, you start at a lifestyle level over here, and you're going to get into your own business.
Yeah.
Please don't expect that it's going to go up instantaneously. It's not. It's going to go down.
Yes, yeah.
And then as you get to understand what's going on, then the concept is that getting involved in your own business will deliver a better financial result than being an employee over a long period of time.
Sure. But what is this time? Is it 5 years? Is it 10 years?
It depends.
At cash converters.
It's at least 2 years. At least 2 to 4 years.
Okay.
And post 4 years, you should be ahead of where you would have been if you stayed in your corporate. Okay. Now, I also appreciate that you may have a significant other, you may have kids, and lifestyles are you can't necessarily afford to reduce your expenses to live. What some folk do is one of the partners in the relationship stays in the corporate, and they live off that regular income while they're establishing this particular business.
I see.
And then one or two things happen. They either stay in the corporate when the business starts feeding the family, or they move into the business as well, and then build this business faster. Or what I've also seen is once they move into the business, train up again and then open store number 2.
I see. And so if I just come and say, Richard, hey, I think I want
cash converter franchise.
Would you just give it to me? Because I'm because we had a great interview here
and
in
you're
studio.
a nice guy. No, I'm afraid.
So all of this for nothing.
So they generally...
We may have to cut this interview, Rolani, because this is not working. But let's hear.
So there's generally 4 critical success factors in getting involved in a franchise in general, our business specifically. You need a full-time franchisee. I'm going to talk cash converters specifically. You need the concept, the recipe, the model. You need a site, and you need some money. So the concept, the recipe, and model, put that aside because we've got it. Now we've got to get a full-time franchisee, and that person needs to be the right character for our business. So how do we go about determining that? We start out with in our network growth department. Those people in that department will meet with a prospective franchisee. Our first meeting will be a 2-hour session of explaining the business model in detail. We'll then, thereafter, if we haven't scared them off completely, come back for a second session where we'll take them into a few stores, spend half a day walking through the different aspects of the business so that we can have them touch and feel the theory that we've provided to them. Next step in the process is we put them in a store for 2 or 3 days so they can actually feel what it's like in the day of a life of a cash converter franchisee.
Very good.
Now they're doing a due diligence on the brand and the business and the opportunity, and we're also doing a due diligence
on them.
Because from the franchisor's point of view, our business is different to what you're going to do. You're going to be a second-hand dealer, microlender, and pawnbroker. We're a franchisor, and our success is based on the success of our franchisee implementing our business model properly. So we've got to make a judgment call as to whether you're going to fit this business properly and whether you are what we refer to as value set compliant. So whether you'd fit within the culture of our organization. It's basically built on passion, professionalism, integrity, respect, and collaboration.
Excellent.
And that's the foundation of what we qualify our franchisees into. So now we've got the brand and the model, we've got the franchisee, we need a site. First, let's talk about some money. Unfortunately, you've got to have money. And the general rule of thumb in the franchising industry here in South Africa specifically is that whatever the setup cost of the business is, you need to bring half of it in cash, what they refer to as unencumbered cash. So there's no obligations over that money. And then you can approach any of the banks or financial institutions that will generally lend you the other half. So they don't want you to have too much debt because that would then cause problems with the cash flow of the business. And the maximum debt in the industry is generally around about 50%.
And then what magnitude of these numbers?
Different franchise brands operate in different investment levels. So if you look at cash converters specifically, we're just over 4 million rand for total setup costs. So let's just use 4 as a number. You'd need to arrive with 2 million in cash. We provide a total turnkey operation. So everything from the time you sign up to us to site selection, lease negotiation, business plans, training, building the store, putting you in there, the whole shooting match.
And inventory?
And inventory, yes. So initial inventory in our business is somewhat different to a traditional business because, of course, we're second-hand. There's no distribution network per se. We don't have trucks running around the country moving an iPad from here to there. You buy from your community. But given the size of the business now, we basically transfer product from existing stores into your new store. But when it comes to establishing the debtors books, in other words, the money lending side of the business, you effectively start from zero. So you start building that debtors book from zero. So that's the takeoff time for a cash converter store is a lot slower than a traditional quick service restaurant, let's say, for argument's sake, or any other retailer that supplies product from a distribution channel because of the nature of our business model.
Sure.
So sometimes I describe it much like a C-130 Hercules taking off.
Okay.
It takes a lot longer to get off the ground than a little Cessna aeroplane.
Yeah.
But once it's up there, the momentum just continues.
Sure.
Our first franchisee that I signed in 1994 only left us last year.
Sure.
It was 29 years with the business.
Wow.
Give you a sense of the longevity.
And the profitability and sustainability thereof.
Exactly.
Excellent. Now, the site, you find the site on
Yes. Okay, so let's talk to the site as well. Franchising, again, if you're talking about retail, you're going to need a site. So you've got to go into a shopping center or whatever the characteristics of your potential particular brand are. So we do it jointly with our franchisee, the site selection process. The thinking process there is that we've done this for 30 years,
Sure.
so we kind of know where to go.
Yeah.
But equally, the franchisee's got to be comfortable that he or she can operate in that particular community.
Okay.
And it's very important in the journey of understanding our business that you understand why the franchisor is saying that site is the right site as distinct from this site. We look for 4 very simple things.
Yes.
Visibility, accessibility, parking, and some footfall.
I just love how you have these.
I've done it for a while.
These are the 5 values. These are the 4 things. These are the. I love it. Yeah. Yes.
So fortunately, in a way, given the fact that we retail, we're not dependent on being in particular shopping centers at particular main crossings.
Okay.
Because we're a destination store. So what I mean by that is when I'm needing cash or it's not a impulse buy transaction.
Yeah.
I'm not walking past a sweet counter
And then I go and need $1,000.
Need a Kit Kat. Yes, exactly. Or I'm not walking through a shopping center with my TV on my shoulder thinking, now I need money. There's cash converters. Okay. So what we need is, first of all, we need our marketing department to tell the world that if you need money, come to Cash Converters.
Lovely.
Then when you realize you need the cash, you need to know where we are. So visibility is really important.
Sure.
Put a lot of signage out there so people know where we are.
Sure.
Then they need to be able to get to us.
Yeah.
So we would traditionally position ourselves, if we're in a shopping center, on the outskirts of the shopping center, so it's easy to get to us.
Yeah.
You can park right outside our doors. And interestingly enough, unlike a traditional retailer, we position the store within the shopping center more from the perspective of giving people money than selling the product.
Okay.
So the convenience for a customer to get into what we refer to as our buy shop, where we buy things and lend the money, is more important than the retail side in our model.
Okay.
Whereas, other businesses have different criteria.
Excellent.
And over and above that sort of very high level back of a cigarette box criteria, we do deep dive analytics with specialists who map out trading densities, cell phone tracking, how people move, where they stay, and all that type of stuff. So it's quite highly analytical.
Geez. Okay. So the future of, say, a cash converters. We're now in a world where people can sell things just from their home, on social media, etc. How do you see your industry moving forward?
If you'd asked me that as we moved into the digital world, I would have been extremely concerned.
Yeah.
Because clearly it's now there are 2 things. It's very easy to get the value of this iPad instantaneously. I can find it on the internet tomorrow.
Yeah.
In fact, in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Whereas go back to 94, the way that you got information was you went out to the August newspaper, you got the flyer out of game, and then you could see that TV cost this and this toaster cost that.
Yeah.
That's how you got the information. But today, it's freely available.
Yeah.
So you've got to take that aspect into account. The thing that, and then the second aspect around it is that what has happened in the ensuing 30 years is that the recycle, reuse, repurpose, circular economy has become mainstream.
Sure.
So what digitization has done for us is made it acceptable to trade between us as distinct to not previously. Mm-hmm. So that has been a real
it's been momentum.
The sea has risen, and we've risen with it.
Stunning.
The risk associated with you and I transacting rather than between cash converters has been mitigated by the fact that in that digital world, the customer still can't get cash now.
Okay.
So I've got two choices. I can sell this on Facebook as an example.
Yeah.
But I can't get the cash in 15 minutes.
Sure.
Or I can take it to cash converters and get the cash in 15
I see.
That's the one aspect.
Okay.
And the other aspect, unfortunately, and this isn't a South African characteristic, it's everywhere we operate, is security.
Yeah.
You know that if you walk in the door of a cash converters, you're secure.
Sure.
So that digitization process, the threat has actually turned into a benefit.
I see. Now, we're a leadership podcast, and I'm just curious. 30 years of doing this work, just the leadership lessons you draw from these years, and more in particular, I'm still struck by, in the franchising business, 1 out of 10 fail versus just the normal non-franchise kind of SME, 9 out of 10 fail. Is there a way we can sort of transfer some of those learnings? And hopefully there's a bit of a lift in on the other side.
So my vision would be is that South Africa adopts the franchising business concept stroke model as part of our solution to get this country to succeed. So if we helicopter out of that for a moment, we will not be successful unless we grow our economy as a country.
Yes.
It's just
100%.
It's patently obvious.
Yeah.
That's the first point. The second point is the way to success, or part of the journey to success, or one of the pieces, or many of the pieces of the puzzle, is to ensure that the SMME market is vibrant and grows.
Absolutely.
How you can do that is implement or utilize the franchising model to grow them. Because the SMME guys, they're out there, they're passionate, they're driven.
Yeah.
Every gogo on the street that buys a packet of oranges and sells them individually during the course of the day is a trader.
Absolutely.
He understands fundamentally what business is about.
Yeah.
It's about buying for one, selling for two, and then doing that over and over again.
Yeah.
So what we've got to do is we've got to give those people a step up.
Sure.
Teach them how to formalize their inherent skill.
Sure.
Understand what VAT is and PAYE and all this. So take all of that inherent human resource and provide them with a structure and a learning opportunity through franchising to grow their individual businesses.
Sure.
So in a perfect world, the 100 billion rand fund that the government's talking about now, I'd love to see a part of that carved into the franchise industry. And just imagine, we've got 800 franchise brands in the country.
Sure.
Let's just take half of them, 500 of them every year.
Sure.
We take that money and you fund one person in each one of those franchises every year for 10 years.
Stunning.
We'd have created 5,000 businesses, 50,000 jobs, and do that for the next 10 years and the next 10 years, and suddenly we're helping to grow the economy materially.
Lovely.
And the good news about that is that you start with a small business, and over 30 years, you end up with a big business.
Sure.
I started this business at the back of my city golf. I had nothing. I moved in with my folks at the tender age of 32. My mother fed me for 3 years. And today, fortunately, I don't have to rely on my mother to feed me. So small business has become big businesses.
Sure.
And really, I think the franchising model is a massively empowering model and should be implemented by every South African that cares about growing the economy.
Stunning. Now, and I might be wrong, I don't have the full sight of all the sort of the franchises within FASA. How many of those are likely sort of South African born? So we start a company here and then become a franchise.
The vast majority of them are South African born. Actually, when we brought PostNet and cash converters into the country in '94, we were the only people bringing international brands into South Africa at that point in time.
Okay.
So the vast majority of them are South African. Clearly, probably the best known are American.
Yeah.
So in that context, American GDP, 40% of the American GDP is generated through the franchising model. In South Africa, only 13%. So you can see the opportunity there. If we empowered the franchising industry to get on and build the country, then we could have a great
And there's another part, which is the businesses that are doing relatively well, there's an opportunity to create a franchise model at the back of this. Lovely. So but I want to learn the leadership lessons. I read your 30-year book, and there's just so much of people-centric aspects, but I want you to sort of talk to it. And how does Richard lead, and what has made you lead well over the years?
So I'm not sure that I've always led well, but I hope that I've
love the humility. Good.
I hope that I've done better in most circumstances than worse.
Yeah.
It starts with recognizing that running a business it's a team sport.
Sure.
It's like Rassie running the Springboks.
Yeah.
It's all about the people. So whether you're selling secondhand TVs or jewelry in a cash converters or licking stamps in a PostNet, if there's still stamps in today's world, I don't know, or flipping burgers in a KFC, it's always all about the people.
Sure.
So I mentioned to you our value set.
Yeah.
It starts there.
Okay.
And it starts with that value set, and that value set effectively came from Australia, but we as the South African business could understand it and felt at home with it.
Stunning.
So it really emanates again from the leadership. And what we try to do is run our business according to those values.
Sure.
And create a culture that is supportive of everybody in our organization.
Okay.
We're wanting everybody to succeed.
Okay.
And again, if you look at franchising, it is a symbiotic relationship. So my business as franchisor will be successful if my franchisees are successful.
Yeah.
Because the business model just purely is the more turnover he does, the more money he pays me.
Yes.
In fact, on that basis, my sister owns 2 of these stores. She's been with us for 25 years.
Stunning.
Every Christmas lunch that we have, she looks at me and says, "I've paid you so much money this year. How can you take so much money from me?" But the reality is, the more money the franchisee pays the franchisor, the more money the franchisee makes.
Oh, lovely.
So it is completely symbiotic.
Yes.
And if we understand that we are commonly incentivized, it makes sense that from a franchisor's point of view, we do everything in our power to make that franchisee successful.
Sure.
So that's another philosophy that we have.
Okay, and how does this land practically? So many people will say, hey, it's about the people, let's create the culture. I wonder if there's like 1 or 2 examples that say, like, these are some of the things we do every Friday or every quarter to maintain that culture, to embed the values, to make sure that, it's not just on paper.
Yes. I think probably off the top of my head, the most important aspect around it is communication.
Okay.
Because we've got a relationship, or because our business relies on a relationship, communication is extremely important.
Good.
Whether you're in a marriage, whether you're in any other relationship, the relationship between franchisee and franchisor is incredibly important, and it's held together by the quality of the communication.
Sure.
So the more you communicate between the parties, the less opportunities for friction there are.
Good.
So that's an important aspect. And in that context, we've got digital notice boards that are available to our franchisees all the time. We've implemented Microsoft Teams across our network, so any of my franchisees can access me digitally any time of the day or night, visually on a cell phone.
Excellent.
We have franchise meetings every month.
Sure.
Again, on digital platforms. So communication is really important.
Yeah.
One of the other little tricks, it's not a trick, but one of the other things that I've found that generates the most amazing amount of energy is just saying thank you.
Right.
So
okay, say more.
Just say thank you.
Sure.
So again, if you look at it in the context, and you're a senior leader in your team and I'm a senior leader in my team, what you tend to do is you put together a plan. This is where I am, this is where I want to be. You put the plan together and you monitor it as the leader by looking at those things that are off plan.
Okay.
And so we spend all of our time there.
Yes.
And you're saying, you're not doing this and you're not doing that. I need more numbers.
Yeah.
What I've found is that when things are going, and generally speaking, when things are going well, you're not communicating with the person that's delivering the good result.
Sure.
So just say thank you. Generates an amazing amount of energy.
Very good.
Keeps them on track.
Very good. Wow. Okay. And I imagine you've got a lot more thank yous inventory on your day-to-day. Now, let's kind of sort of bring it towards the conclusion around cash converters 30 years later in growing in the continent. how many more stores do you see?
So our home base is clearly in Southern Africa. Here in South Africa and Namibia, we're touching 100 stores. It's a significant business. We've got resource. We expect that we will be growing probably around about 10 stores a year for the foreseeable future. And in that context, it might not sound like a lot of stores to open, but it really is an interesting trade-off between opening faster and not necessarily having sustainability into the long term, and opening slower with better quality everything, and ensuring that business that opens today will still be around in 10 years' time, 20 years' time. So our focus really is we can probably handle about 10 stores a year in Southern Africa. And then our opportunity for the rest of Africa, effectively sub-Saharan Africa, it's a different model that we're implementing there. We're selling country licenses there to a country licensor who will expand the brand, effectively provide financial inclusion. The concept really is financial inclusion.
Stunning.
So we focus on the secured money lending side of things. What has become evident as I've reducing my ignorance about north of our border is that it's extremely difficult to raise debt financing in most African countries. So if you wanted to buy a house in Nigeria, best you pitch up with full cash price. Otherwise, you can't raise the debt. Our franchisee in Nigeria pays his rent 3 years in advance. So the credit markets are just not there. And the average man in the street can't raise money at all. And so the concept behind growing into Africa is to bring that financial inclusion.
Oh, lovely.
And yes, we'll do that one country at a time and see where it goes. I think it'll be a very interesting next decade or so.
So for the people that want to be one of the 10, maybe next year or year after, what must they now do?
It's very simple. Hop onto our website, cashconverters.co.za. We've got a franchise inquiry page over there. Fill in that franchise inquiry and we'll be contacting them the next day.
Lovely. Yeah. Richard, this has been... before we close, we ask our guests these 2 questions. Yeah. One is one challenge you want to give to our listeners after they've been listening to us for this long. And the second one is any book recommendation or any resource that you can recommend to our listeners.
One challenge, if you're thinking of getting into your own business, do it.
Simple.
Just do it. Just do it. Second, I'm actually reading a book I never thought I was going to read, Sol Kerzner. You may remember Sol Kerzner. He ran Southern Sun Hotels, built Sun City. Died a few years ago. A mate of mine gave it to me and said, read this. I said, I wasn't really a fan of Sol. He was the best hotelier in the world at the time that he was building Sun City and the like. But it's really fascinating. Again, it's kind of in the entrepreneurial space, which I understand. He was a man of vision. I mean, he created Sun City out of African bush in the old days of Botswana. He created it out of nothing. Everybody thought he was completely mad. And he created a successful business out of literally being dogmatic and pig-headed about that's what I'm going to build and they will come. And he did. So I'm halfway through that.
Richard, thanks a million.
You're very welcome. Thank you for your time.
Excellent. Cheers. Thank you.